Joe PYFER. Thank you
I'm
for taking
here.
the time to come on. So we had a little debacle in Mexico. Obviously, I have to say, I know you're more disappointed than we were, but we were very disappointed. That was a fight we one of the only fights we were actually wanted to see on the card. So I'm happy you're rebooked. And even better in New Jersey, close
Yeah.
to home, right? You'll have the home court advantage, hopefully. But tell me a little bit about your experience over there, what happened. Have you even talked to anyone since then? Done any interviews since then?
I went on Dean Thomas's show
Okay.
because he was going to be my coach, and I've been working with him, and he was out there for a couple of days towards the end. So long story short, I planned to go out there for 15 days. I adjusted, I slept in a tent, I was acclimated. I got there early enough, so I was not caught with any surprises and whatnot. So I got out there. The second day, got sick as shit, like terribly. But then the next day, I was completely fine. So I was like, oh man, I don't know what it was. I think it may have been bacteria that was in my coffee maker that they probably just didn't use filtered water, or it was unfiltered. Anyway, it was a generic coffee maker. I got coffee grinds, I got the fucking filters and everything. Somehow got sick. That was the only thing I could have got sick from, or spinach, because I heard they don't wash their, I guess, vegetables and fruits and filtered water or whatever. So one of those two got me sick on the second day. And then we went to, we did the weigh-ins, we faced off, I cut the weight, we did all that. Everything was good. He made weight. And, starting to dial in, still doing my hydration. So 11 p.m., I checked my weight before I went to sleep that night before the fight, and I was 209 pounds. And I'd also ate at a restaurant that was at the fighter hotel that they said you could trust and it was safe and all these things. So I told my manager personally, and everybody on my team can attest to this. I said, I don't want to eat here. I'd rather just go make my food, But we got back from ceremonials pretty late and we had to get escorted through police. So, like, it took a lot longer. It was like an hour to get there, hour back, plus being there. It really, like, effed up the time of everything that we usually do. Um, so my manager's like, let's eat here. I go to eat there. I didn't want to eat there. He's like, stop being a baby, all this shit. So I eat there. I had half a little thing of lasagna, didn't even finish it. And then it was a very thin crust, like marinara pizza. And, felt fine or whatever. 3 hours later, I wake up and I'm like sweating and like shivering. And then I projectile vomited. And then basically, it's gross, but I was basically shitting water out all night. And I went from 209 pounds, got on the phone with the USC doctor about 6:30 that following morning, the morning of the fight. I told my manager at 1:30, I said, yo, I'm really fucked up. I don't know what's wrong. I'm going to wait it out to the morning, see how we feel before we hit up the doctor. Did that. He told me to check my weight again. In that 7 hour span between having a fever, I guess, and whatever stomach bug, I lost 14 pounds in 7 hours. So there's no way. And I was 195 pounds, 194 pounds. Like, I walk at an average of 217, and I walk in the cage, after hydration, probably 210, 212.
Mhm.
So it's like, there's no way I could have fought that. I was literally curled up in a fetal position, and it was a shitty experience. But I was devastated. Obviously, I was super upset, and I think what made me upset the most was obviously losing the fight. And I also my opponent. I would never want to put him in that position, no matter how many times he's missed weight. And people are like, "Oh, that's his karma." It's like, it's not good on me. I would never do that to somebody. He made weight to fight me, and that's all that matters. I don't care about what he's done in the past. So, I was disappointed for him, disappointed for me. And then I was very disappointed while still emotional. All of the Mexican cultured fan base was telling me they hoped I died. I was an American pussy. I was a white this, white that. They said I hope my plane crashed with my team or whatever I got. They hope I got chopped up by the cartel. They said a lot of like really fucked up things that, you know, I guess I'm not surprised by, but I definitely felt some type of way.
Yeah.
And so when I put out the video that I guess everybody was upset about, I addressed that if that's what fighting in Mexico is at elevation and having to like basically be in a fucking plastic wrap to even make a fight, then I said, fuck that country. It's a shithole. I won't go back there. And they can suck my balls. That's exactly what I said. Unfortunately, it doesn't come off the greatest. But, it had nothing to do. I think some people, only some fans, I really think people understand it for the most part. But for the few that didn't understand it, it wasn't an attack on America. I should have worded it differently looking back, for sure. I shouldn't have called it a shithole. I could have said, fuck that country, I'll never fight there again, and left it at that. But, to go and say, suck this or whatever, and it's a shithole, I didn't need to say that part. But, it was not about Mexican people. It was about me as a professional athlete fighting in Mexico, and it was a terrible experience. And, I hold my ground on that. I don't like the country, and I will never go back there to fight ever again. So
Well,
that's
it's an
kind of all the
emotional.
bullshit that went down.
Yeah, it's an emotional experience, and you're human and kind of expressing things in real time. So it's hard
Yeah.
to always,
Well, you lose a ton of money. We make the weight. Obviously, you understand watching. Your husband doing the same thing. It's you lose a bunch of weight. You spend a lot of money. You commit to trying to make this. Going out to a country I'm not comfortable in for 2 weeks ahead of time, sleeping in a tent. You know, doing all the right things for everybody to just discredit me or write me off as as far as the fan base, I'm a pussy or I'm scared or I didn't want to fight or I'll tell me whatever. Yeah, it's just like, come on, bro, like you're kicking me while I'm down. And there was a couple other people that really said some things that when I see him I got some words for him, or I might have some hands for him.
it's hard. I mean, people from the outside just see, this athlete or whatever. But like I said, you're going through it real time. Not only are you like in enemy territory fighting, it is intense. I mean, in certain countries, it's more intense. The fan base is insane. I heard Mexico is insane too. Like the crowds are very,
I didn't feel it. I feel like they like started to boo me when I walked out, and then I started laughing, and I feel like they were kind of like, from what everybody tells me, I didn't really notice it myself, but everybody was like they were kind of booing, and then they like stopped halfway through when I got up on the podium. It was kind of like they didn't like hate me, but they
yeah,
also didn't like love me. You know what I mean? It was kind of weird, a weird situation. But I was happy to be in enemy territory. To be honest, like I like
motivating.
backing. Yeah, I like back against the wall. I like people that don't believe. Like that's been my story so far, and only until the UFC did I get I would say enough momentum where everybody was kind of pulling for me, and then I lost to Jack, and now everybody's back on the side of like I'm suck and or I suck. I'm not going to be world champion, all this shit. But despite that horrible situation, obviously we got the rebooking for June 7th. Got the Prudential in Newark. Yes, home field advantage. And I think everything happens for a reason. And I don't think that this could have worked out any better, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, all the everything aside, it's rebooked. And I think it's a fight that everyone wants to see. I think it's a big fight. If you win, kind of puts you up there in people's mouths. Like, I think people are going to be talking a lot more, hopefully, get you up in the top 15
Yeah.
after that win. Kelvin is a tough fight, but he is kind of an unpredictable past, and you don't know how he's going to show up. So I'm
Yeah.
definitely looking forward to it. He always has good fights, so that I'm sure.
Well, I hope to be the first person to knock his head off and put his lights out. And I think I'm the guy to do it. I think I'm the right guy to do it. I think I have the size, I have the style, and I think I train much, much harder than Kelvin does. I know he was. It looked like he was training hard for this one, but I still don't think that his hardest is going to top mine. I just don't. I don't see his work ethic being better than mine. I don't see his motivation being as strong as mine, and I just don't think his mind is going to be as strong as mine. When push comes to shove and it gets tough in there, we don't put each other out, and it's about who's going to dig deeper. I think I have the better wrestling, I have the better kickboxing, I have the better boxing, I have the bigger power. I'm the bigger guy. I think everything is leaning towards me to do this, and the only way I can fuck it up is somehow he knocks me out, which I've never been knocked out, even in training. So um, I know he's been knocked out in training, and I know he's been slept a good couple of times outside of the cage. Obviously, he's a different guy when he's in there, but I really do see myself dominating and absolutely shutting his ass out.
Well, maybe I don't know. We might be there. Who knows? I'd love to go
Oh
see
yeah,
you, but we'll be in Jersey, so it's not far.
no.
Speaking, you mentioned your loss to Hermanson. What was that experience like for you? What did you take away from that fight? How did you feel you grew after that loss?
It was definitely conflicting for the first couple months. Like I was very, I think, burnt out. Um, and I got burnt out pretty quick. It was weird because I had this high, this high, this high. Fighting, 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 and then I kind of felt the pressure, pressure, pressure because everybody kept saying I had all this hype, and I'm like, man, I'm just doing what I've always done. Be me, and I'm a dickhead. Like I say things that offend people sometimes or whatever, but I'm not a disgenuine person, and I've always just been me. So while I was doing that, I was getting on this hype. I get to the fight, and the fight, going into the fight, I will commend myself for the confidence that I had in my ability to knock him out. I really believed I was going to knock him out, and I knew, I had walking pneumonia the entire camp basically from Christmas until more than halfway towards the end of January. I think like January 22nd was like the first time I could breathe through my nostrils without having phlegm or coughing and mucus in my chest. It was like one of the worst sicknesses I've ever had. So, I missed a lot of training. Didn't really have a training camp, and I went through two sessions where I made 5.5s in preparation for that fight. Only two sessions. I physically couldn't get through any more than two rounds at a time. 99% of the camp. So I made two sessions where I went through the camp at 5.5s, and then immediately after I got over being sick, I got two staph infections, being MRSA. I had one on my bicep and one on my forearm. So antibiotics on top of being sick, everything going into that fight was wrong. And I was in a situation where it was my first main event. I got a new contract. You can't say no. And I
Yeah.
didn't want to disappoint. And I truly believed at the same time, the only reason I made it to that fight is because I believed in my heart I was going to knock him out early. I still fought 5.5s. I fought hard. But these were all things that I didn't consider until like months after the fight. And, I just thought I got bested, which I did that night. And I was very demotivated because I just felt like, man, like what? I just fucked up. Like I shouldn't have taken the fight. I knew I shouldn't have taken the fight, and I shouldn't have just banked on trying to knock him out. Like I was very conflicted with myself. But it wound up being the best thing for me because I think the pressure would have gotten to me if it was getting to me at Jack Hermanson level, which he's the top guy. He's a tough guy, but he's not the championship guy. If it was getting to me at that level, it would have got me at a more important level. So, it was a good loss. I lost by one round. I looked good early, and then I started to fade off after I got hit in the eye, and then he invested in the calf kicks. I died off. And it was just because I wasn't going forward. So, like, from a technical standpoint, there was many things I could have changed even with the situation I was in. And then the other part was just, we all lose, unfortunately, at some point, and you have to, it's about how you learn and roll with it. You can say there's lessons in the loss, but unless you've actually learned from it, I don't think you actually understand the lesson. So I feel like I learned from my mistakes, and one of them was, it ties in with Mexico. I'm not going to fight compromised again. I am not going to, if there's a little bumps, bruises, I can get through things like that. But I knew I was sick, like how I was with Jack, except tenfold because it was, all happening that morning. And I was like, man, like I'm in a good position. It sucks. I'll lose money. And I honestly didn't have a choice. The UFC doctor pulled me, but it was going into a fight with a clear mind and a healthy body as best you can be, and not being desperate for situations that might set me back 5 steps just because I want to go out there and prove I'm tough and all that crap. So there's a bunch of lessons. Training things. It's a long answer. I don't know how to fucking just give you a one word thing, but I've learned a lot from that. So I think it was detrimental to the maturity of my career moving forward.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of best case scenario,
Yeah.
close. like even though it hurts to lose a close fight. My husband says a decision's worse than getting knocked out, but I beg to differ. I think losing a decision is better. But
Well, what I say is I'd rather lose a close decision
yeah,
than lose, a unanimous decision. Because I think I agree with him on that. One thing I've always said is I'd rather be knocked out than dominated.
yeah,
And I don't think that happened to me. I don't think
no,
I
no.
got dominated. I think it was a very close fight until, the fifth round. It was 2-2. And then he got the takedown, and that secured him the win. So, yeah,
Well, if anything, it's a good, it's hard to hear, but it's a good learning experience, especially the
it
part
is.
about like handling the pressure, being kind of building in the right way. I'm sure you learned the lesson of like the fickle nature of the business and the fans. I mean, my old coach
Yeah, I
would
mean, like
say,
there's no handbook on how to deal with that, right? Like
yeah,
you have to go and get counseling or mentorship or therapy or something. I shouldn't say therapy or counseling, but mentorship. You want to go seek out like a guy that a sports psychologist to really deal with the pressure or deal with performance or things like that. And I've kind of just done everything that I've ever done off of my own brain. So I've never had like a sports psychiatrist on how to help me like channel. So I've gone off of rage in fights. I've gone off sadness. I've gone off of material like money, and I've found my motivations and things like that. But I've never was prepared, and I know how to turn it on when it's time to fight and be that person that I try to not be from day to day. But it's like I know how to tap into that guy I don't like that is built for war. And then, but the part I wasn't prepared for was to be Joe Pfeiffer, the person that has to deal with everybody that's like saying negative shit online. Like I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know how to not have an emotional reaction. At least I didn't to people saying shit. And I still don't to a certain degree, which is why I've said, how I felt about Mexico, because it's like there's certain things like I'm good most of the days. I'll read shit and I'll laugh and I think it's funny and I'll troll back. But then there's some days I read things and I'm like, man, there's some real fucking pieces of shit in the world. Like I hate this
yeah.
sport sometimes.
Well,
So
it's I don't know. I mean, I can't speak from what it's like in other sports, but definitely in MMA, I would say, and I've said
brutal.
this before, there is like a very big disconnect, I think, between the fans and the fighters because the fans don't know a lot about the sport. Like a lot of people know about football. They've played football, baseball in your yard, but like a lot of people haven't fought, done jujitsu, they don't understand it. And
Yeah.
I was always very surprised by how many people can be that nasty. And something about fighting too, it isn't a sport. It's a battle and it's very vulnerable thing to do and it's personal. So like
Hmm.
when you lose, it's personal. Frankie Edgar said it. Like it's not even like losing in wrestling. It's not like losing in a sport. It's like a
It's the
loss,
worst
a
pride. Yeah, it's a
devastating
loss.
loss.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to not take those comments personally, and it's your health too, which is like,
Yeah, I mean, you put your whole life into this. My
yeah,
whole life, it's not my identity, but it in a sense it was. It's my whole life. I've been doing this, I'm not a UFC champion yet, but I'm 28. I've been doing this since I was 4.5.
yeah,
So it's 23 years and plus in the game for everyone to just come out because you lost a decision by one round and be like, "Well, you fucking suck,
yeah,
bro." I sucked before I lost to fucking Hermanson then because I lost to a guy who was nowhere near my level in the pros. When I was 6-0, I fought a guy who was like 6-3, beating the shit out of this guy. But I was suicidal before the fight, and I had all kinds of shit that I didn't deal with going into a fight, right? So I learned before I got to the UFC, but uh, I wasn't mentally okay, and I had no motivation. It was the only fight where I was walking to the cage, and I was like, I don't give a fuck to do this. Like, there's no song that's gonna put me in the mood to fight. There's no, and it scared the fuck out of me. So I'm dominating the guy, whatever. I take a sloppy shot after 2 rounds, gas myself out, get choked unconscious. Like that was a learning lesson right there, but it's like, people don't understand that like you're not just all of a sudden judged because you're in the UFC. You've been judged before that, except not everybody gave a fuck, and then now, everybody can say anything they want, and they don't really care if you're upset, if you're depressed, or if you had something going on. Like you said, the disconnect. It's a good point about, playing baseball in your backyard or football. Like you can play those things in your back. You can't play fighting, and it is a battle, and it is personal because it's your ego. It's the strongest emotion I think men have comes from their ego and their pride and what they're passionate about. And yeah, it fucking sucks. Like sometimes the harsh reality is that that fucking guy was better than you, and you don't get the immediate
That's the
chance to try to.
humbling, like the ultimate
Yeah.
humbling, which
Yeah.
especially as a man, I mean, even as a woman, it was hard, but as a man, it's hard pill to swallow.
Testosterone, dominance, our nature, and then you get fucking put down by another guy. It's like, ah, fuck.
In
That
front of you.
sucks.
Yeah, it no, and honestly, this the reason why I do this is I just want to like try to bridge the gap a little bit so people understand that you guys are people who
Yeah.
have families and like your health, all these
Yeah.
things like you put on the line for fighting. Like fighting is not a sport, and people are so quick to. And I think the thing that upsets fighters the most is that most people who do fighting for a living, you understand, like if you talk shit, someone could fuck you up, right? And when you see people so brazenly online commenting, saying things, they wouldn't say that to your face, obviously.
Yeah.
Like my husband always says, like, you can do it better. Come show me. I have no problem. Come come show
Yeah.
me how you'll do it.
Yeah, I tried to invite somebody one time, like I was willing to pay for his flight and everything. And my coaches strongly urged me not to. One, because
Good
of
idea.
what I would do to that person, and two, like being above that person. And that's the thing that I think I'm still learning now is
Yeah.
trying to disassociate any emotion to someone that I've never met who has an opinion about me. And I've known that, but social media is fake. I could die tomorrow, and then everybody you would say, "Oh man, you would see probably 98% good things or sorry things or condolences or whatever. And then you'd have the 2% haters that would still find something negative to say. So it doesn't matter how positive something is. Social media, there's always going to be that one jerk off that has to say something negative. So you could give $1 million to homeless kids or starving kids or whatever, and they'd still find something fucked up to say. So it's like I gotta just not give a shit what people
You know,
say.
that's a hard, I mean, that's part of kind of maturing in the business, I think. I know, like in the beginning, Corey was like that, very like offended by what people had to say and all the people
It's an
doubting.
insult to your work. You're like,
Yeah.
man, how the fuck could you be so mean? But
But I tell them like don't waste your time arguing. But then sometimes I see comments, I'm like, oh, I want to say something so
mhm,
bad
yeah,
because
yeah.
people comment on my things and tell me like, I can't wait till he has CTE, blah blah. I can't wait
I'm
to
sure
see
they
him.
say a lot worse than that too. Yeah,
Yeah, just nasty, nasty, like
yeah.
hurtful things. I'm like, he's like,
A father, a husband,
yeah, like
like
was in the hospital because of this. So, like how could you be so hateful?
you
And
know.
that's very disheartening at times, but you really have to learn to
That's the part. It makes you disconnected from the fans. So then when fans don't understand why fighters are jerk offs to the fans, it's because of people like that. And then they get tired of it. And when they learn like how I'm doing, I'm starting to learn to like really not give a shit. And I think it's all funny now.
yeah,
But when I actually don't give a shit at all, I'm not gonna care to say hi to you. I'm not gonna care to take a picture with you. I'm not gonna
yeah,
care to sign your shit. It's just one person ruins it for the rest is kind of how it works for the most part. But I'll still be nice to everybody I treat you how you treat me is how I've always
yeah.
been. But
I mean,
yeah.
that's a harder part about the business, I would say, but I think you learn as you grow through the industry. You can't, otherwise it would be impossible to continue on if you took everything to heart. But
You'll be emotionally drained by fucking next week, that's for sure.
yeah,
Oh man. There I will say, I do have a good time on there sometimes. Like when I'm in a good mood and
yeah,
I'm like when I'm happy, like in a good mood and I woke up on the right side, like I don't nothing bothers me. But and I do there's some funny like Poopy Pants PYFER is a funny one. Like I think that's good. I got Salty Man Piper. I fucking hated that they called me that. And it's all because of this guy, who was an interviewer dude, and he called me Salty Joe or whatever. So they all called me Salty Man
Um,
Joe. I think that one's hilarious too, but they have some funny shit they say.
no,
It is
sometimes
funny.
it's funny. That's what I told Corey. You got to lean into it. Like,
Yeah.
it's funny
Well,
yourself.
Mexico wasn't funny. Mexico was not funny because everything they said was fucking Spanish. I'm American as fuck, which means I'm probably fucking on the low IQ standard, right? Like I don't fucking speak Spanish. So I turned off my comments for 2 days initially, and everybody started roasting me for that. I was like, bro, everybody's texting fucking, there's thousands of comments in Spanish. I'm not hitting translate, bro. Like I'm just blocking that shit. Like it'd be funny if it was American and they were all hating in English, it'd be different, but I don't fucking know what you're saying, dude. I'm not gonna fucking read thousands of Spanish comments. It's stupid.
Put the blinders on.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a wild game for sure. This is all the things that I've never been prepared for. I was always prepared to fight
Yeah.
the best, things like
Well, and
that.
it's the
But
whole, you are a business, and
uh,
learning how to market yourself and
well, I think my stock went down.
it's all a part of it. Some people got it, some people have to work towards it, and it's hard if you're a person that is like authentically you to be fake, which I don't personally like doing that. I don't like fighters that do that. I want them to be themselves, but some fighters are just, more
If
like
I was a character outside of myself, I think I would be way overbearing. Like
yeah.
I think I would be canceled immediately. But yeah, 100% I would get canceled. But I think I'm a character enough just as I am.
Yeah. It's
And my
pretty
true self.
unfiltered.
Yeah, it's my true self. Like I like to joke and I don't even try to be funny. I just like to say stupid shit. I have a vulgar personality, vulgar humor. Like it's the nature of being a gym guy and being around gym dudes and how we talk, and we're always fucking making fun of each other. So it's like that's where my humor result. Like, so I can take a joke, but if I don't take Spanish jokes very well.
So tell me, you mentioned this earlier, but what is your motivation currently? Like what motivates you to fight?
uh, I think the number one thing is just I want to know how far I can go and how good I am. I know how good I am in the room against top level competition. Trained with Corey. I've trained with big guys like him, and Sean Brady's one of my main training partners, and I got a whole bunch of other UFC guys, and obviously, like I said, Corey. There's some guys that are on the regional show who are amazing too. That retired just because they had a family and they didn't make it to the UFC. So I've gone against some really high level guys, and I've always done well, and then got that much better, and then exceeded over the last couple of years. So I just want to know how far I can go, and that's my main goal. Is I think I could be a world champion at some point, and I don't know when that is, and I don't have a time rush on when that is, but I do. I really do believe that I can be the best in the world, and I can get that gold strap one day. I think I'm a big middleweight, and I think I have a lot of things leaning there that help me. But I think the biggest thing is just I don't think anybody does anything that I am going to be surprised by. I think I can beat all of them. Like I really, I know I lost to Jack, but I really believe I'm the better fighter. Like so yeah, I want to know how far I can go. And I would say second, and the one that I would say is the most fulfilling is I just want to financially secure myself, to have a family and I keep my personal life off of social media just because of how controversial it is. But I want to raise a family, and I want to have a kid one day. And I don't know if kids or kid, but um, yeah, I just want to have that financial freedom to wake up and do what I want when I want. And I think that's my number one goal in the pursuit of this journey is to have that freedom for the rest of my life, where I'm not obligated to go to a 9 to 5 that I hate or something that I don't enjoy or love. So I would just say, pursue my passion now so that way I don't have to, um, I guess, live I don't want to say average or mediocre and be disrespectful, but that for me, in my terms, would be the mediocre, not reaching my full potential. So I want to see how far this boy can go.
Yeah. And I mean, you've obviously, and we've talked about it, and you've talked about your upbringing and kind
Yeah.
of the painful.
Which my documentary is now free out on Roku as of
Yes,
yesterday.
I wanted to ask you about that. I
Yeah,
mean, your story is an amazing story, obviously. We've
yeah.
talked about that before, but does that motivate you? Like the pain from your childhood? You have always seemed to kind of have a chip on your shoulder. Like, does that
I
help
would say
you?
it's I would say it's served its purpose, but it has died down. Um, I don't feel bitter about my childhood anymore,
Mhm.
and I haven't for some time. And I would say only if I get really negative, then sometimes I pull that like I hate him type
Yeah,
feeling sometimes. But that's just finding somebody to blame.
yeah,
I'm a grown man. I'm 28 years old, and I'm a growing man still, a maturing man still. So I think it would be foolish of me to still, carry a chip on my shoulder like I don't have a fair shot at this like anybody else right now. So I'm I'm over that. And no, I don't think it serves a purpose anymore in my adult life as a man. I think it did as a boy trying to be a man, and it got me to a certain place, and it helped me win some fights, and it helped me hit really hard, and
yeah.
and I've been able to chisel at the whole stone that it was, and now I'm really shaping into something, and I don't think that that is anything in my mind anymore, to be honest.
That's amazing. I mean, I first of all, I love that outlook, and obviously that's why you are where you are. But I was just curious because some people use that, that anger to be a better fighter. Like I think it was Tank Davis that said he wants to retire so he can go to therapy. But
Yeah.
like the fact that you've resolved that already and you still have that fight in you is special. I mean, a
I
lot of
think
people.
I love to compete. But
Hmm.
I love to fight. And when I say fight, like I love to see who's going to break.
Hmm.
Let's see who wants to live. Like, let's see who lives. Like, I think my biggest thing is like, if there was no referee, I died
Hmm.
or you died. And I think that's a lot. It's like a real fight for my life in there. Like, it's how I really make myself believe that. I feel those emotions. Like, I think some people have competitive nerves and then they have flight or flight nerves. And I think like I put myself in that fight or flight mode where it's like I gotta kill this motherfucker. Like he's coming for
Yeah.
my food, he's coming for my family. Like I gotta kill this dude. So I think that is like I can turn it on. And yeah, maybe the only time I ever use like that chip on my shoulder childhood thing would just be I don't, not even in a bad way, but just remembering how long I've been committed to this and how long I've been doing the right things to be where I'm at. And I think sometimes, like I actually just told one of my buddies the other day, it's kind of crazy when I look at the journey that I've been on and how hard it was and how long it was compared to everyone else's journey.
Hmm.
And, I've had teammates that got in UFC off of a loss, or I've had teammates that, have gotten better matchups, or I've had teammates that, weren't even that good, but they've made it. And, I've trained with a lot of people. So it's like, this is my journey and it's supposed to be this way and it's supposed to be hard. Be thankful for everything that you did go through, because if you carry that chip on your shoulder all the time, I think it can get you somewhere like it did me, but then I think it can take it from you just as fast. And when you're negative all the time, which I have a hard time, I always have to not try to be negative. I think it's just human nature.
Yeah.
You look at the bad shit all the time. So um I think I'm trying to just be appreciative. Like I was so fucking happy. I can't even tell you to touch U.S. ground when I came back from Mexico, and I was only gone 2 weeks. Has nothing to do with anything bad that went out there.
Hmm.
But I was so thankful to come back to America after you come from a third world country, or just and be thankful and for the roof, for video games, for fucking nice TVs, for just clean water, food, like so I really have no reason to be upset about my past. Like there's people that have it so much fucking worse.
Hmm.
And yeah, mine was tough, but look at the situation it led me to. Look at where I'm at. Look at the opportunities that I have coming back up and the opportunities that are going to come in the future. And it's just about what I do with those. And I think worrying about the past and being angry is just going to it's gonna dim the light on the moments that I'm trying to make.
Well, it sounds like you've really, worked through it and healed from it. I mean,
Yeah.
I always say, like, no matter what happens to you, you might, what's the word? You can feel however you want about it, but
Yeah.
it's choosing to not be a victim, because if you think life's happening to you, like, what a miserable existence, it's hard to mentally ever
Well, think about how
overcome.
long you carry on your childhood pain if you had a fucked up past.
Yeah.
You carry that shit on for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And usually every time you talk about it, you get emotional or you get angry or some type of agitation. And it's because I think it's because you, I'm not saying you, but that person hasn't forgiven whoever did what to them or
Mhm.
for whatever reason. And that's a lot of emotional energy to carry with you over the years. Like if you combined all the conversations you ever talked about it, or I've ever talked about my past, it's always in a negative term. It makes my chest like tight and like fucking angry. I get like hot. I want to start like fighting motherfuckers and shit. And it's like, well, now because I forgave him, and my mother, my mother was nowhere near as bad as he was, but we had the lack of like love between us and like me
Yeah.
affection as a kid and things like that. But I was it's a lot easier to forgive my mother than it was him. And I talked to my mom as of recently, the last like 3 4 months. We don't talk every day by any
Yeah.
means, but I don't want to hate her, and I don't hate her, and I don't want to hate him, but I just know I'll never like me and that motherfucker will never be in the same room just
Yeah.
because we're just it's not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He'll never take accountability, and I'll be the guy that tries to hold him accountable, and that's just like that's a ticking time bomb. So but I do forgive him. And my point is, through saying all this, because I never shut the fuck up, is uh, once you actually forgive somebody, then you don't think about what they did to you anymore.
Yeah.
You don't think about all the bad shit that happened every day and the victimization of yourself. So I know that for my day to day, I don't think about my
Yeah.
relationship with my mom. I don't think about my sisters. I have four of them. I don't think about my dad. Like I'm at peace with everything that's happened between us. So I'm focused on what I can do for my life and the
Yeah.
future and getting better as an athlete and doing all these things and taking care of my health and trying to manage. The biggest stress I have is fucking social media, to be honest. My life's not that bad, and wanting to secure financial freedom, that
Yeah.
those two are the most stressful things. Making
Yeah.
money and fucking dealing with idiots online. That's it.
Yeah.
My life's not that
Unfortunately,
bad.
it's like part of the job. Some
Yeah.
people leave
Yeah.
that part behind. Some guys, a lot of people just like to fight,
Yeah.
So,
But I'll tell you, once I get this down, I'm still working on it, but once I get it down, I'm gonna hit a whole nother level because I'm gonna be happy through all the shit, through all the chaos. I'm gonna be good with everything. And I won't feel, and once I get to that point, I won't feel all the anxiety of, not that I do a ton, but interviews and what I
yeah.
said, how I feel and things like I'll be good. I'll be good to just smile through everything and not be so serious and then just go out there and then be serious and fuck people up. So and I do that now. So I'll get there. I'll
Hey,
get
it's a
there.
skill like anything else. So,
Yeah.
you practice. So you're fighting Gastelum. You're not overlooking him. I'm not going to ask you who you want after that. It's going to be a great fight, a tough fight.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. We'll probably go. I'm not sure who else is on the card yet, but
Yeah. Well, there's Sean O'Malley so far, Kayla Harrison, me. There's the guy Joshua Van fighting. I forget who he's fighting, but there's a couple good fights. I just hope they put me on the main card like they did last time. I
yeah,
think
I
I
think
think
they should.
that's the only thing that potentially would upset me is if me and him aren't on the main card because he's a former title challenger, just
Yeah,
inducted to the Hall of Fame. Like
I think it will.
I'm an up and comer. I think they should put us on there. I don't know where I'm at on the card, and you know how that works. So, but yeah, I think it's going to be a hell of a fight. I think it's either going to be real easy or it's going to be, I don't, real hard. But
You
I
don't know
just
till you
don't.
get out there.
Yeah, I don't. You won't know, but I have this weird feeling just with all the dreams, all the feelings, and everything, and just even how I felt from the first one. I really think I'm going to do something spectacular, and I hope God's plan is that I come out victorious and in a devastating way, and I think that's all I know too.
Yeah,
So I'm in there to. I'm not trying to win points. I'm trying to get that man out of there. I'll choke his ass. I'll slam his ass. I'll fucking suplex him to a knockout. I'm trying to get him out of there. I really want to knock him out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm excited, and I know he's a veteran, and I'm training for the hardest, toughest Kelvin
Yeah. I
of
mean,
his
it's a
career.
good win. It's a huge opportunity, I think. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward
yeah,
to seeing you capitalize on that. And I'm sure we'll see some fireworks in Jersey June 7th
yeah,
at T316. And then you also have your documentary out, Joe Pyfer, Journey to the UFC,
yeah.
right?
On Roku, yeah, it's
Roku.
free. I don't think you have to pay for it or anything. I'm pretty sure Roku's free thing, right?
I'm not sure.
I think Roku's
I'm
free
gonna try to. I'll
platform.
try to watch it
But I
tonight.
do know you can watch it for free. So yeah, that was a long time. It took 2 years to come out. There was a lot of legal issues with licensing and music, and between my buddy made it under a management company and I was with another management so it was stressful. So luckily I didn't have to deal with all the stress, and I kind
Yeah.
of tried to like keep it out of my fucking brain. But it's finally out there, and the main point of getting this out there is hopefully it can inspire other kids that were fucked up like me, or in a bad situation like me, or in a self-doubt situation like me, but they had that feeling that they could be something good and great, or competitive sports athlete something. And yeah, so hopefully it reaches a lot of kids. That's what I really hope this comes out and does. And yeah,
Well, that's amazing. I can't wait to watch it. I'll check it out tonight. And your story's amazing. I think you're a very interesting person because of it. So
thank you.
I'm sure your message will get to some people that need it. So
Yeah,
good
I
luck
hope
with
so.
everything. The documentary, the fight. Maybe we'll see you. I don't know. Maybe we'll come to Philly. Maybe
Hell yeah,
you'll
you
come
guys should.
train before your fight. But
Yeah. Well, tell Corey I said what's up, and obviously he's always welcome, as he's always had his door open for us to train together. So hopefully I get to train with him before the fight, just because I know he's not a southpaw. But yeah, it'd be fun to see him and train again. And yeah, I hope you guys make the fight.
thank you, Joe. Thanks for taking the time.
Yep, of course. Thanks, Jenny.